The Sports Junkies podcast is presented by PenFed Credit Union. PenFed's got great rates for those in uniform and those who are not. Apply today at PenFed.org. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA.
I'm Erin Ryan, political commentator, comedy writer, and host of Crooked Media's Hysteria.
And I'm co-host Alyssa Mastromonaco, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff for President Obama.
Each week on Hysteria, we are joined by a team of hilariously opinionated ladies to discuss the headlines from the serious to the absurd.
We cover everything from reproductive rights to rom-coms and break down the political news of the week and cultural stories that affect women's lives.
New episodes of Hysteria drop every Thursday. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. Junkies coming to you live on 106.7 The Fan and NBC Sports Washington. Presented by Crop Metcalf. They are the official heating and cooling company of the Junkies. Looking to be their next 5-star HVAC technician or plumber? Visit cropmetcalf.com to join their team. I'm John Paul Flame, joined by Jason Bishop, running the two-man show this week. Talking a lot of football today, talking Washington football team. It is a Football Monday presented by Chiniga Miles. Visit mioscareers.com to view open positions and apply today. So Washington loses to the Dallas Cowboys. They dropped to 6-7, which would still have them in the playoffs if the playoffs started today. 4 games to go, of course, but we wanted to kind of hone in on the playoff picture and what you think Washington's chances are moving forward. Phone lines are open at 800-636-1067. You can call us on the BetQL guest hotline, Bet Smarter, and Beat the Books. Download the BetQL app today or visit BetQL.com. So, if you look in the NFC right now, obviously the class of the NFC, at least right now, is the Arizona Cardinals. They're your 1 seed, separating from the pack. Now, who knows what's going to happen here down the stretch for the Cardinals. A lot of people don't believe in them.
They got a big one tonight. They
are the 1 seed right now. And you've got Green Bay and Tampa on their heels, both teams 10-3. Cowboys with the win yesterday, 9-4. So you turn to the wild card. Little separation now with the Rams. They're 8-4. The Niners are 7-6. Big win for the Niners. And then you've got Washington at 6-7. And here's what we wanted to talk about. So right now they've got the tiebreakers, 6-7. In the conference, they're 5-3. You've got the Vikings also 6-7, the Eagles 6-7, who you're going to face, the Falcons 6-7, and the Saints 6-7. Saints yesterday, I had kind of buried them, Jason. I don't know if you had buried them, but I kind of buried them. I just figured non-factor. They were kind of spiraling with Trevor Siemian under center. Taysom Hill had a 4-interception game, but I could see them doing okay given the formula that they used yesterday. They ran the ball 44 times yesterday. Now, it was against the Jets,
right?
But they ran for over 200 yards in the 30-9 win. Taysom Hill only threw the ball 21 times. Actually, good completion percentage. Completed basically 75% of his passes. He was 15 for 21.
Yeah, he was good.
You know, not a ton of yards.
But the strength of his
yards.
game is running the ball.
Ran the ball 11 times for 73 yards, found the end zone twice. And then Kamara, who hadn't been playing, runs for 120 yards on 27 carries.
Well, he's the difference maker for them, yeah.
So they made him a workhorse. So Washington has the Saints on their heels. You've got the Vikings, and the Vikings, of course, are, you know, kind of a weird team in that, like, when you watch them, you feel like, and when you look at Kirk Cousins' numbers, you'd feel like they'd be a lot better than 6-7, but they're always in close games. The game against the Steelers was another close game, their last game. I mean, really,
yep. They lost the
Big
tight
Ben
one to
drops
Detroit.
a dime to Freiermuth. Now he gets crushed in the end zone. That game could have easily gone to overtime.
Yeah, I mean,
and they had a monster lead in that game.
They're a hit-or-miss team. They're going to score some points because Cousins throws the ball all over the place. Cook, if he's healthy, is just a monster. And then they've got a legit number 1 receiver. So you're right. Defensively, they're giving up points, but offensively, they're going to score.
Give me the Vikings schedule here down the stretch. So Washington, again, 6-7. You've got the Saints and the Vikings on their heels. The Falcons. How do you see the Falcons? The Falcons are a 6-7 team. Like, I don't think they're kind of in the mix.
No one's buying the Falcons.
I don't buy the Falcons, but they are 6-7.
And yesterday was kind of an elimination game there with Carolina, and they beat them because Carolina's quarterback play is just dreadful, to be nice. I mean, Cam threw another pick. He's benched. P.J. Walker comes in, throws a pick.
Then they bring
throws a
Cam
pick
back
six.
in.
Yeah, I mean, there's just an awful situation at quarterback. They're not going to beat anybody, so I wouldn't even factor Carolina in. So the Vikings have the Bears twice in the remaining 4 games. They have the Bears this week on the road, and then they've got home games against the Rams, and then they've got to go to the Packers. So
chalk up those 2 as losses.
Probably. I mean,
but they can get to 8 wins, but Washington would have the tiebreaker on them.
Yes.
At least right now.
Based on the conference record, yes. But, you still get the Bears twice, and if Fields plays like he did last night, and he obviously makes some mistakes, he throws picks, but he's better offensively than what Dalton gives you. So, the Vikings, you might look at the Vikings schedule and go, all right, well, they could probably get 2 of those games. Maybe they can upset the Rams at home and beat the Bears once or twice, and then, they're looking at same record as Washington.
800-636-1067 as we turn towards the playoff picture with Washington. 4 games left, obviously all in the division, obviously against the NFC East. The other team is the Eagles. So the Eagles are right there at 6-7, and you're going to play them. I think Washington's better than the Eagles personally, the way they've been playing, but look, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. You're going to play them 2 times in a short period of time.
Correct.
You play them, obviously, this week on the 19th, and then you're going to play them again on January 2nd.
And they're also...
That's a quick turnaround.
It's a turnaround, and, those games are obviously more important now that you lost to Dallas because, those are pretty much must-win games just based on the rest of the schedule. Now, the Eagles are going to come off a bye. They didn't play this weekend, obviously. Guys like Miles Sanders can get a little healthier. Jalen Hurts can get a little healthier, and that's what they have to do. They have to run the ball because Hurts, he's not going to beat you throwing the ball. He's going to try and run for 70 or 80 yards and set up other things. And if Miles Sanders, who's always hurt, by the way, he seems like he's been having nagging injuries the entire year. If he's healthy, he's pretty darn good. But those are the key games. The Eagles games are massive. And if it came down to week 18 and you had to beat the Giants to get in, I can't imagine you wouldn't beat them. Although we have to see what happens at quarterback, but if they've pretty much just checked out and given up.
800-636-1067. What do you make of the Washington football team's playoff chances, given their loss? 4-game winning streak, got them to 500. They lose to the Cowboys. They're now 6-7. Here's the thing about that last week. So you'd think that Washington has an advantage because they play the Giants and the Eagles. If you're just talking about those 2 teams, the Eagles close with the Cowboys.
Right.
But the Cowboys might be shutting players down. Because they got a 3-game lead right now in the division.
You're right.
If they win next week, the division's pretty much a wrap as it is.
Mm-hmm.
But
let's see where they are in seeding.
That last week, there's a good chance they're going to be rested starters. So that's going to be
if they're locked
that's going to
into
be an easy win, I think, for the Eagles. I'd almost give them an advantage. I get what you're saying about the Giants shutting it down, except they're trying to win games. You know what I mean? Joe Judge is probably fighting for his job. Like he's not going to rest starters.
No, they're not going to rest any guys, but they haven't been completely healthy for the entire year, and they've got other guys hurt, and then their quarterback's been banged up for the last couple of weeks. They're going to Mike Glennon, and Mike Glennon is a competent backup, but can Mike Glennon beat a team that really has to win it for a playoff spot? I'm not so sure.
Except you remember a couple of years ago, Washington closed the season with the Giants. All they needed to do was win to get in the playoffs, and they blew it.
It's certainly possible. But when you look at Philly's schedule, Washington twice, the Giants at home should win that, and then the Cowboys at home. And like you said, maybe it doesn't matter for the Cowboys.
800-636-1067. Let's go to Vic in Accokeek. Vic, you're on with the Junkies. Good morning.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
What's up, Vic?
I'm all right. So in the beginning of the week, I was like, we're going to lose. Mm-hmm. I still think we are a playoff hopeful team. But what I saw yesterday in the second half, I said, okay, we can really make the playoffs, and we actually can get past the first round. The thing that we have to be able to adjust with now is teams are going to realize that we are susceptible on the edges with our tackles, and they're going to start sending pressure. They're going to start doubling up pressure through the B gap, through the C gap to really put us on our heels. So we got to adjust the pocket. We got to start moving the pocket a little bit. Got to do some more boot action. The Cowboys we could have exploited that yesterday if we did some boot action.
But Vic, real quick, don't you feel like Taylor was pressing a little bit? And maybe it's he didn't have J.D. McKissick to kind of throw a little quick dump-off passes to. It just seemed like he was playing different than he did the previous month.
Honestly, this is what happens when you play a talented team, a talented defensive team. Mm-hmm. The quarterback feels rushed. And I don't think if it was any good quarterback or just any quarterback in general, they wouldn't have felt rushed. They were covering well, and they were in lanes and they were in gaps, and they were rushing him. So it throws your timing off, like you said. It throws your timing off just a bit. And for him to be able to step up and make the play he did, Cam Sims, I think it spoke a lot about his courage and his moxie, even though we came up short.
Thank you, Vic.
Thank you, Vic.
800-636-1067. So Vic seems to still be positive. Playoff team, even has them getting a playoff win.
Well, I'm not so sure about a playoff win because you're going to have to go on the road and play a Green Bay or a Tampa or an Arizona or a Dallas.
It's going to be tough.
And I don't think they're going to beat Dallas on the road, so I think that's going to be their 8th loss. I think they'll beat the Giants in Week 18 if they have to, and it comes down to those Eagles games. If you split with the Eagles, you're probably 60% out. If you sweep the Eagles, I think you're probably in. But that's going to be tough.
636-1067. You want to call us on the Gambit DC listener lines. Bet, play, win with Gambit DC. Brought to you by the DC Lottery. Let's go to Andre, Upper Marlboro. Andre, you're on with the Junkies. What's up?
Hey, what's up, fellas? I mean, I'm about high or low, depending on how you say it, with them making it, much less making it out the playoffs, the first round, only because, like the other caller touched on, edges are being really not non-existent, as well as the running back not knowing when to pick up a block. And most importantly, we can't afford to start playing late in the game, and especially with the teams coming up, like you guys said, it could be Tampa or Green Bay.
Right.
I think we're in the same position we've been. It seems like the last few years. We just barely make it into the playoffs, and all that really does is knock us out of where we're picked. And I'm like, I don't know. It just seems like it's more of the same all. I don't know how we get it turned around other than getting players to fill those key spots that I think we're missing.
Yeah. Andre, I would say this. I mean, you obviously don't have expectations to win a Super Bowl, but if they're just as a fan, if they're going to make the playoffs, that kind of gives you a reason to watch. I understand that they don't have that franchise quarterback and you don't have some of the key players you need and you got to build through the draft. Yeah. But year to year, if you can make the playoffs every couple of years or once out of every 3 or 4 years, it still gives you a reason to watch the team.
You get a sweat, too.
You get a little sweat.
I mean, even last year when we knew they were inferior to Tampa, they actually made a game of it. Probably the best game Tampa had in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean,
it's exciting. I agree with you guys. And as a fan, I will always watch them. I'm not saying I'm turning off the TV. I'm just thinking realistically. One, I don't think we had the team we had last year that gave us an excitement that almost beat Tampa Bay in the playoffs.
Yep.
I think we have two completely different teams. And I'm just thinking realistically that either we're not going to make it into the playoffs or we're not making it out the first round for all these things that previous callers, as well as the stuff that you guys have already discussed. I don't see us getting there, especially what my man will probably, what's the receiver name? He'll probably be out this week anyway.
McLaurin.
He had a concussion, and he's the best one we got.
Well, I think what Ron would say is they're building, right? So you'd want to make the playoffs and then build upon that and get even better next year, which will be year 3 of his program. So you're always going to try and win. Like, the ship has sailed on having a top draft choice. And by the way, top draft choice, what does that mean? You get a Trevor Lawrence? Trevor Lawrence had 4 interceptions yesterday. I think he's going to be fine, but there's no guarantee. So I'm kind of always with EB. Like, I'm anti-tanking in the NFL. Like, in the NBA, they're just kind of like sure things. Yeah. Like, number 1 pick often. In the NFL, it's much tougher.
I mean, the rookie quarterbacks, for the most part, I mean, Mac Jones is a game manager, and he's with the best coach, and right. they're with a great system, and there's a really good defense, so he's obviously succeeding. The rookie quarterbacks are really having a tough go of it. I mean, yeah. Zach Wilson isn't getting better. He was terrible yesterday. Trevor Lawrence was terrible yesterday. Now, there's other things going on there.
Trey Lance can't see the field.
Trey Lance isn't even on the field ever. Fields has obviously been in and out, but when he's in, he can make some plays, but he turns the ball over. I mean, you see how difficult the game is for those young quarterbacks. And that was a great class.
Yep.
The class for next year isn't as good as that class. They're going to struggle even more. So I would say if you're a Washington fan, all right, maybe you do make the playoffs, but if you make the playoffs and you're out in the first round, that still gives you kind of something to watch and something to root for.
And I think that Ron
it's better than missing out of a playoff spot by one game.
And Ron is building a belief in this team. Like, I thought they were going to pack it in. When they're 2-6, they got Tampa looming, coming off that bye. I saw 2-7. All of us did. And I figured this is going to be a 4-13 season. Ron's found a way to kind of instill belief in these players. And so, yeah, you want to make a playoff run if you can. If you want to chime in, 800-636-1067. Here's what Coach Rivera said after the game about controlling their destiny.
Absolutely. Well, because we control our own destiny. We have an opportunity to do something. We got 4 games left, all 4 in the division. You know, some interesting things can happen. You know, somebody else can lose a game or 2 as well. And who knows? And I told our players that, you know, that we control it. We take them one at a time. We got Philly coming up. We know that. You know, I told the guys we'll get through this tomorrow, and then we'll start focusing on getting ready for Philadelphia.
More of your calls next on the playoff possibilities for the Washington football team. Do you still believe they're going to make the postseason after losing to Dallas yesterday? 800-636-1067.
The world moves pretty fast. 1 minute you're standing, the next you're dragging. How can you keep up? I'll tell you. I'm Ira Madison III, host of Keep It. Each week, Louis Vertel, Aida Osman, and I do the hard work of exploring the intersection between entertainment, culture, and politics, with guests like Billy Porter, Catherine O'Hara, Ronan Farrow, Francesca Ramsey, and more. New episodes of Keep It drop every Wednesday. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's Macy's one-day sale tomorrow with deals of the day for everyone on your gift list. Like chic winter coats, $79.99. And Tommy Hilfiger outerwear for him, 60% off. And find our lowest prices on flannel bedding, pillows, and more from Martha Stewart collection, 75% off. Plus, get contact-free curbside pickup or pickup in store today. Details at Macys.com/pickup. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
How's your mental health? I'm listening with Alessia Cara.
This was a challenge for me because it felt like I was trying so many things that weren't working. You know, we all have like our toolbox of what works for us, but it's not like a one-size-fits-all thing. I focus a lot on my breathing. I do like this thing called 4-7-8, which is where I breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 7, and release for 8. You know, it makes it super physical so that you're forced to get back into yourself. And that really, really helps me.
Explore more at imlistening.org.
We're the Junkies, coming right back. Welcome back. Junkies on 106.7 The Fan on a football Monday, presented by Chiniga Mayos. Visit MIOScareers.com to view open positions and apply today. Washington falls to the Cowboys, 27-20. Dropping to 6-7 on the season. That puts them as the 7 seed right now in the NFC standings. That's good enough for the last wild card spot. Yes, you would face Green Bay or Tampa or Arizona, but you'd be in the playoffs at 6-7. 4 games left, all in the division. Got the Eagles twice, got Dallas again, and you have the Giants at the end of the season. Do you like their chances to get into the playoffs after what you saw yesterday? I'll say this. I do like their chances, but if Taylor plays like he did yesterday, I do not like their chances. I qualify it. Like they
if
have
he
to
plays
go back,
like that, they're going to go 0-4.
Right, they got to go back to what they were doing, running the football, control the clock, and I think they're capable of doing it. And Heineke just has to be cakes would get bitter when I said it, but Heineke the previous month, he did have 7 touchdowns, and EB would quibble and say, well, he makes exciting plays, but kind of reminded me of Alex Smith for a month, where Alex never put up big numbers, right? Would have like 178 yards passing, but they would win. Or he'd have 210 yards passing, and they would win. And Heineke, for the month of winning, the 4-game win streak, 7 touchdowns, just 2 picks, was taking care of the ball. Yesterday, he's just kind of like loose, pressing, whatever it was. Let's go to Chris.
Well, they also need to have McLaurin and McKissick, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you got to get healthy, of course. Chris, DC, what's up?
Yo.
Hey, Chris. What's up, man?
Nothing much. Hey, look, I still think we have a chance, but that's just me being a fan and trying to be optimistic about things. We are 6-7, but the NFC right now, everybody's it's close for everybody right now in the NFC. I was going to Philly next week. I think we got a chance because Philly, they're still developing. And, I mean, we just got to the coaches got to make better calls as far as the OC. I mean, like I was at the game yesterday, and every drive we ran the ball the entire first half, and the run wasn't working. And that's because Dallas was playing to the run. So, I mean, we wasn't doing no PAs. And the first play that Cal Allen got in there, he got 11 yards on the play action, and he ran it. He kept it and ran it. Why not switch up the plays if you know Dallas is playing to the run heavy? That's why I say when we go to Dallas, there's a different – I feel as though we have an opportunity because now you see how they're playing against us. They're playing against the run. And, of course, the Eagles are going to do the same thing. So, Scott Turner, he got to make some changes. You can't go one-dimensional. You have to be you got to be able to do multiple styles of offense. And right now we're hurting because we only have one running back, Gibson.
Right.
You know, so when he fumbled the ball, that kind of messed us up because we had the momentum because we had just scored 8. The defense took Dallas off the field. And also, Dak Prescott, he wasn't that great. He threw 2 interceptions yesterday. So that's, right. I mean, them getting the win is kind of taken away from us, taken away from the fact that Dak Prescott wasn't so good yesterday. He almost threw the game away, honestly. If Cal Allen if that situation didn't happen with Cal Allen, we would have been a lot better position. I think we got a chance going to Dallas because we'll have a lot of key pieces coming back. Montez Sweat, we'll have Smith Williams and Casey Toohill. Hopefully we get McKissick back, and we can be healthy on this 4-game run, and we got a chance, honestly, really, guys.
No,
and at 2-6, you would have never thought that.
Yeah, I mean, I know Turner's getting criticized because offensively they were just bad. Maybe that was just a personnel thing. You'd have to sit down with Turner and go through every play and find out why he was calling certain things. But they didn't have McKissick. You don't have Logan Thomas. Obviously you're going up against a great defensive front with one of the best young defensive players in the league with Parsons. So maybe that was just a personnel and matchup thing. But I didn't hear people criticizing Turner when they were winning 4 straight.
No, they were actually jocking him.
Because he was calling great games,
right.
And there was a lot of play action, and Taylor was playing well. Maybe yesterday was just a bad day and a bad matchup for them, and that's why Turner's getting criticized.
And again, what's hard to see, and this is why NFL coaches go back and look at game film. And there's no way that we can know this unless we watch like the All-22.
Right.
Maybe some of his calls were really good, but Taylor's looking in the wrong direction. Or, when we had John Keim on, he talked about Ricky Seals-Jones and Curtis Samuel almost running into each other on a route. Well, there's no way that's the design of the play.
Right.
You know what I mean? So somebody's botching something there. Is that on Scott Turner? Mm-hmm. If all of a sudden the receivers aren't going to the right spot, is that on Taylor Heineke? Like those are things we don't know. Let's go to Bowie. Joe, you're on with the Junkies. What's up?
What's up, my Bowie bangers?
What's up, Joe? What's going on, man?
So I do want to say that I feel like we can't make it to the playoffs, but what are our true benefits in making it to the playoffs?
Isn't that the point though? You try.
Yes, I was about to ask. That is
like you just want to. Are you one of these guys that it's either playoffs or tank?
I am one of those guys only because we don't draft well late in the draft as well. Like, we get first-round draft picks around at like 19, 20, 13. We just don't pick well.
Well, Joe, I would say this. You could be a Lions fan, or you could be a Houston fan, or you could be a Jacksonville fan. I mean...
we've been there, 3-13. We've been there, 3-13.
I understand, but if you want to try and build, and that's what Ron's trying to do, is trying to build something, I mean... Going to the playoffs and losing in the first round, I mean, I still think that's kind of a success because you're doing it with a backup quarterback, and that's the way the NFL's built. The NFL's built, whereas there's going to be 15 to 18 teams that are really close, and they got a shot at that playoffs in the last 2 weeks. And there's going to be 3 or 4 teams that are just dreadful, which there are this year. But there's so much parity, and you've seen it in the matchups. There's going to be 10 to 12 to 14 teams that really have a shot at the playoffs in the last couple of weeks, and that's just the way the NFL wants it. And that's based on the fact that the premier teams have the Hall of Fame quarterbacks. The rest of the league just have pretty good to average to slightly below average quarterbacks. So you're going to have 5 or 6 teams with 6 or 7 wins at this point.
Let's go to Drew,
DC. The way it's built.
Drew, you're on with the Junkies. Good morning.
Hey, what's going on, fellas, man? Congratulations on the book, man. I'm definitely going to give me a copy of it, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, my thing is, man, when people talk about tanking, man, that just burns me up because if you keep tanking, you're not going to see where you're at. If you're in the middle of the pack, hey, next year we just need the quarterback to get us over the hump. If we keep going backwards forward, it just kills me. But as far as them making it, I see them guys making the playoff, and I think we're going to wind up playing Dallas 3 times because we're getting people back. We're getting people back that was hurt. We was down our third center, man, and plus – 2 of the defensive ends that was playing, they was out for COVID yesterday, man.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all keep up the good work.
Yeah,
thank you. I actually was impressed by the defense given that. Like, the defense wasn't the problem. I mean, the defense scored. Dallas scored defensively, too. So, what'd you give up? 20 points on offense to the Dallas Cowboys, who statistically have, I think, heading into the game, the number 1 offense in the league in terms of yards.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most explosive offenses in the league.
Played well.
The defense held up.
Yes.
Like, could they have been better? Sure. Did they force 6 turnovers? No, but they forced Dak into a couple. And Dak, for the most part, takes care of the ball. Like, to get 2 turnovers on Dak and the Cowboys, I think is pretty good. Hold them to 20 points of offense, it's pretty good. That wasn't the problem. The problem was the offense. Just, they couldn't run the football. Heineke was bad. Turnovers.
No doubt. Can't argue. I mean, Dallas's defense won the game.
Let's go to Baltimore. Scott, you're on with the Junkies.
Hey, guys. Thanks for seeing. I'm driving on the road. My voice is actually not as raspy. You guys are doing a great job this morning. And,
appreciate it.
Anyway, without the refs withstanding, we know we're going to get some of that, okay? But I will say this in honor of EB not being there. I definitely got silly yesterday, like people partying. And then, of course, as Cakes would say, it got chippy in the stands, although then I made some you got to make friends with the Cowboys. But my point is, I just think, look, no, is he Brett Favre? Is he like, he's not these guys, but you guys, I got to be honest, and Lurch, I respect the hell out of what you always break down the game and stuff, but I think Turner, like, look at the last 2 games, Vegas and
yesterday.
It's Monday. Yeah, no, the game before that. The Seattle game. Look at this. Monday morning after the game, party head. They could have been up by 2 touchdowns. I know you want to game control the clock, but that's ancient history. But yesterday, just roll Taylor out. I mean, you know the game. I mean, roll him out some more. You got to give defensive line, the Dallas defensive line, a lot of credit. I get it. Micah Parsons. Look, you got to give credit where it's due. But, dude, they just drop him back. I mean, how many rollouts did you guys see, right?
Well, I didn't see a ton, but maybe that was based on what they were facing defensively. They look
you
at that.
You want to roll them out to the edges where the edges were beating you?
Parsons is there.
Like, the reality is, if you roll them out, you're going to roll them right out into Parsons.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're just kind of watching the game, so we're not seeing the X's and O's and why they're breaking down certain plays. But I got to think there's a reason that they weren't doing that.
I agree with you.
And I don't think that – and again, you've said it a million times today, this team is built on what kind of – Gibson can give you. If Gibson touches the ball 25 to 30 times and is getting first downs, well, that sets up that play action for Heineke and sets up bigger plays. But, I mean, Gibson didn't give you that yesterday.
Let's go to Rob in D.C. Rob, you're on with the Junkies. What's up?
Yeah, how y'all doing, fellas? Been a long-time watcher and listener. I'm glad to get a chance to call in. I'm just going to say that I believe that Taylor Heineke is a reflection of his offensive coordinator. His offensive coordinator did not put him in a good position for him to be productive. You have to keep everything third and short for this guy to excel. Mm-hmm. And I actually think the defense did pretty good, only giving up 3 points in the second half.
Yep.
And my last point is Cam Sims should have been the number 2 receiver from the very beginning of the season. I think having Curtis Samuel in the lineup has really disrupted the flow of the receiving corps. Thanks.
Yep, maybe you're right. I have no idea. I mean, Samuel's been a big F.
Samuel's
not
been
all
an
of his
F,
fault.
and as I said,
but he's been an F.
Brown feels like Antonio Gandy Golden again.
Yeah,
I can't remember where those guys were drafted. Was Diami a 3rd rounder and Gandy Golden a 4th? But right around, kind of middle rounds.
Was a 4th,
You draft these guys, you expect something.
But they certainly expected something, some production from Brown.
And, Keim came on here this morning at 7. You can use the rewind if you missed the interview. But Keim looks at the film, and he said in the preseason and everything they saw in practices, he was going to be what they drafted him to be, a guy who blows off the top of a defense and goes deep. Mm-hmm. And he just hasn't been able to do it. Like, he's not getting separation. They're not throwing it to him, whatever. He's been a bust.
But
now, you give him time. He's a rookie. I understand that. And he's not a first-round pick, but he's been a disappointment.
when your third and fourth round picks are barely playing, and when they do play, they're not catching balls over the last couple of years, that hurts. But Samuel has been a big F minus,
right?
Because they expected Samuel to come in and touch the ball 60, 70, maybe 80 times this year.
Run the ball
and
catch the ball.
Yeah, he would have been kind of like the CD Lamb from yesterday, and he's done nothing. And that hurts you because, Dax Milne and Cam Sims and Carter and Humphreys, those guys are limited.
Good stories, but you're right, limited.
It's Macy's one-day sale tomorrow with deals of the day for everyone on your gift list. Like 20 to 50% off beauty stocking stuffers from Jimmy Choo, Lancome, and more. Great handbags and wallets 40 to 50% off. And buttery soft cashmere sweaters just $39.99. Plus get contact-free curbside pickup or pickup in store today. Details at Macys.com/pickup. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
'Tis the season for Christmas music magic, and all of your favorite holiday stations are now here with the Odyssey app.
Let it snow with songs that bring Christmas cheer wherever you go.
Warm up your home with holiday music from home entertainment devices like Roku, Chromecast, Sonos, and more.
Just look for the Odyssey app.
Want to access more stations through your car?
Try out Odyssey with Waze or Apple CarPlay. Plus, listen to your favorite Christmas radio stations on your phone with the Odyssey app.
This Christmas, your holiday favorites are all on Odyssey.
You want to know what wagertainment is? It's the picks, the analysis, the information, mixed with the laughter and the entertainment. Smart sports betting content that'll put a smile on your face.
The BetQL Network, streaming live each day and helping you bet smarter.
If you're a sports fan, you know why you should listen? It's sports betting content without the BS. No hot takes, no nonsense.
All the insight you need to bet smarter is at BetQL.com. And listen to the BetQL Network, streaming live right now on Odyssey.
All right, coming up next, Pete Haley covers the Washington football team for NBC Sports Washington. He joins us here on The Fan. Welcome back. Chucky's on 106.7 The Fan. We are live on NBC Sports Washington. On a Football Monday presented by Chiniga Mayos, visit MIOScareers.com to view open positions and apply today. Jason Bishop, when is the last time you went to FedEx Field?
It was I might have the year wrong, but it was either 2010 or 2011. It was a Monday night game against the Steelers.
And you said you'd never go back.
And I haven't been back.
And you haven't been back.
And it took me literally 2.5 hours to get to the stadium, leaving Northern Virginia to get to FedEx.
Right.
And I blew a tire.
And you haven't been back.
It was a terrible experience.
But Pete Haley has to go for every home game. He joins us now on the BetQL guest hotline. Bet smarter, beat the books. Download the BetQL app today or visit BetQL.com. And you have to get there early, right?
Around 10 a.m. or so. And Jason, by the way, I think that game was 2008, so it's been even longer for you, and that's good. Stay away. There's no reason for you to go.
2008? I want to say it was later than that, but I'll have to look at their schedule.
But anyway, Pete gets there early, and I did the pregame live show, and he gets to the parking lot. He finds the tailgaters. What was your vibe early? Because we're going to talk about the crowd in the next segment, and we can talk about it a little bit with you. But you actually found like a group of Washington football team fans getting hammered. Mm-hmm. Were there many of them?
So I always drive in this one road, Garrett Morgan Boulevard, and every time I get to the stadium around the same time, I can drive in without a problem. I drive right up to the gates, I show my ticket, and I'm in my parking spot immediately. But on Sunday against the Cowboys, I was in a line of about 50 cars. I had to wait a while. It was sort of annoying, but it also indicated to me that the parking lots were going to be full and the stadium was going to be full too. The problem is there's a lot of like Cowboys flags and Cowboys bumper stickers and license plates in that line, and that certainly seemed to hint at what was to come in the stadium, which was tons of blue. So I will say there was more energy there than I felt, and it was cool to see the parking lots full, but it didn't result in much aside from DeMarcus Lawrence asking for more crowd noise throughout the game and him getting it because of all the Cowboys fans in attendance.
Now, I think there were more people overall. I didn't look at the exact number, but I saw the capacity was something like 75%, which is higher than what it's been throughout the year. It's been like 62% for most of the games.
Yeah, I think the paid attendance I saw on the little game sheet was 61,000.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
I think that's Yeah, that's the first time they had eclipsed 60. And one of our colleagues on the beat, Matt Parrish for the Washington Times, reported a couple weeks ago, maybe even a month or so ago, on a story about attendance woes at the official capacity is down to like 66, 67,000. I forget the exact number, but it's way lower than what you're normally used to. So it was a fairly full stadium, energetic crowd. But again, it was when Taylor Heineke was screwing up, it wasn't very quiet. It was like we were in AT&T Stadium in Texas.
All right, so let's start with Heineke. Last month, he's been game managing, I would say. 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. And then yesterday, he just looked bad. He looked like he was pressing. What did you see?
He initially looked really tentative. And on a lot of the throws, it looked like he was kind of guiding it, like almost playing catch with this kid in the backyard, trying to not hurt the kid or hit him in the face. On the Terry McLaurin slant early with Trayvon Diggs on him, Terry had plenty of room, and it's the kind of throw that Taylor had been zipping around in the past month. But on this one, he threw it kind of high and soft and allowed Diggs to break it up. And then after that, after getting through tentative Taylor, the team fell backwards into a big hole, and then he felt like he had to press. And I think there's no better indication of him pressing than on the throw where Terry McLaurin got hurt, where Taylor rolls out. He points to Terry to go deep, but in doing so, he completely misses a wide-open Curtis Samuel right in the flat. I just tweeted about the play. The screenshot is really, really damning. Curtis was Taylor's first read. He looks him, doesn't choose him, which is fine, and then he comes around, and that's when he looks for Terry deep, but Curtis could not be more open. Taylor forgot that Samuel was there, and it ended up with an incompletion and an injured McLaurin. So Taylor started off shy, then he overcorrected, and it's just the problem with this formula. It's effective, but when Washington goes down, then it falls apart, and Taylor feels like he has to be Superman, which is never good.
What's funny about that play is Taylor is pointing to McLaurin to go deeper. He can't get the ball deeper. He's going to throw that thing short like he did, and that's why McLaurin had to stop and try and battle 2 DBs to go up. And he got up higher than those guys. I mean, he was up 40 inches. I mean,
he almost brought it down.
His vertical was crazy, but again, he was bumped by the guy. I don't know what DB it was. I don't know if it was Diggs or the safety, but he came down on the head, and that could cost him a game.
Yeah, Taylor's arm strength, of course, is a problem. We all know that, but I think it can be masked with how they played the past month or before Sunday's game against the Cowboys. They can use him over the middle of the field. They can throw some short to intermediate passes, but where the arm strength has always been an issue is with deep balls. This offense hasn't had very many deep completions. It feels like more often than not, whenever they throw deep, they're hoping for a defensive pass interference more so than a completion. So while Heineke and Scott Turner and these guys can get creative moving the ball in different ways, even though Heineke's got a weaker arm, there's no way they can hide it on the deep throws. And that was another one there where Taylor's pointing deep, and everybody in the press box knew, I don't know if Taylor should be pointing deep. He should be telling him to come back because he can't throw it that far down the field. And, hopefully McLaurin's okay, but concussion could easily keep him out against the Eagles. And if that's true, this receiving core is completely nothing without number 17.
I would agree. And they're going to need McKissick back, and who knows if he will be back on Sunday against Philly. As far as just the play calling, we're taking a lot of calls today. And people want to criticize Turner. They're not putting Taylor in the right spots against a good defensive front, more rollouts, more play action. And, fans don't know why offensive coordinators call plays. They just watch the plays, and if they're not successful, they just criticize the coaching. And I get that. But I didn't hear many people criticizing Turner when they were winning 4 in a row. This is kind of an overreaction to a really bad day where they just couldn't move the ball.
Sure. In the NFL, it's all about overreactions, and I think it's a sobering day for Washington fans who had gotten so used to winning. It had been 5 weeks without a loss, so these Mondays after a loss are always just full of second-guessing and criticisms, and everything that was okay recently is now just an issue again. Del Rio should be fired. Turner's not smart with the play calls. I just think it was that they became too one-dimensional. They tried to run the ball even when the deficit was pretty big, but Gibson wasn't getting anything going. It's not like they were running the ball and at least hitting on some of it despite being down 3 scores. They're down 3 scores and getting stuffed. So rollouts or not, Dallas knew what was coming. And on some of these plays, like when Taylor got sacked, strip fumbled, that was a 5-on-5 blocking scheme. Sheriff just got destroyed by Micah Parsons. On the screen pass that got intercepted, everything was blocked up great. That was going to go for a huge game, but Charles Leno couldn't get Randy Gregory on the ground, so Gregory could intercept it. So Turner, he gets roasted when it goes poorly, and he gets praised when it goes well. He's like the quarterback, gets too much blame and too much praise either way, depending on the results. But I think it was more execution, and the offensive line was really, really blasted yesterday. Cornelius Lucas had a rough afternoon. That group had done so well during the winning streak, and just like a lot of other units, they lost yesterday, and that group really faltered in the loss.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I didn't get a chance to hear Rivera talk about Gibson and the fumbles. Did you hear him talk about that at all?
Oh, great setup there. I heard him talk about it because I asked him about it, JP, and I asked him, what do you do here? What's the message? Do you change anything? And Rivera said, we don't really change the message. Obviously, that is to continue to hold on to the ball, and we're going to keep trusting this young man. But I agree with that. Like, what can you do? Especially if this offense is without McLaurin next week. Gibson is your only blue chip skill player that can turn small chunks into big chunks. So this running attack hinges completely on what number 24 is doing. And while these fumbles are just completely maddening, especially the one yesterday, it was a 2nd and 12, and he got a 5-yard check down, was going down to the ground, had nothing else to do, but he just failed to secure it. But I don't know what Washington can do without him. So you just have to live and die with these turnovers, I think, and hope he can somehow be smarter with it, because if you take McLaurin out with a concussion and you want to penalize Gibson for fumbling, how does this offense move the ball at all? So
the wacky thing is, Pete, he didn't fumble last year. I don't think he had one.
Yeah, it's almost more mental than physical, I'd assume, where it gets in his head. But then if it got in his head, you would think he'd do a better job protecting it. I don't know. It's actually probably an unexplainable turn of events here, and maybe when the season's over, we can sort of get a look back and figure out what was wrong. But yeah, I don't think this is something that gets fixed going the rest of the way. This is just something they have to live with. The rate of fumbling suggests there will be at least one or two more mistakes by Gibson. It's just a matter of whether the Washington player or the opponent falls on it, and whether we are all freaking out about Gibson or wiping our brow and saying, phew, we dodged a bullet there.
By the way, Pete, you know your schedules. I just looked back. It was 2008. Monday night, November 3rd, they lost 23-6. That's the last time I've been at FedEx. 13 years. I thought it was later than that, but 2008, so good job. All right, real quick.
For you, though, because he said he was never going to go to the Bahamas again. He's going in a couple weeks.
Well, that's actually fun. That's actually fun, although it does cost me a lot more money.
I would love to go to the Bahamas. Bahamas greater than FedEx Field every day of the week.
100%. All right, so going forward, we've got about a minute left. They still control their own destiny, like Ron likes to say. 4 games left, all division games. I think they're going to lose the Dallas game in Dallas, but they could beat Philly twice. I think they have to beat the Giants because the Giants are terrible, but who knows? But if you beat Philly twice, I think you've got a legitimate shot of beating out Minnesota and New Orleans and teams like that. But so, what's your take on the games against Philly?
That's completely my takeaway, too. Philly is going to want to do what Washington does. It's a matter of, and sorry for sounding like a old-school football coach, but who imposes their will and can get to their game plan and their preferences first. But, my takeaway from yesterday was that sucked. It was miserable, but it doesn't do much to change the playoff aspirations. If this team can get on track with the running game and keep the deficit small early or jump out to a lead, they've shown they can win games against evenly matched opponents. Yesterday, they fell behind. It screwed everything up, and they lost to a more talented team. But the Eagles are an even adversary for them, and they're better than the Giants. So you got to try and go 3-1 the rest of the way. And if you're 9-8, you got to like your chances to make the playoffs. So let's all mope about this game today. But come tomorrow, I think there's still plenty that is achievable for this team going forward.
All right, Pete. Good stuff as always. Talk to you soon.
See you, buddy.
Thank you. Enjoy your two-man shows. I know you guys love them. Cherish them.
They are fun. All right, thanks, Pete.
It's fun when it's the other two guys.
That's right.
Sure.
I love the Pickle and Cake Show.
All right, phone number as always, 800-636-1067. We touched on the crowd with Peter Haley, and it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
When Amari Cooper caught a ball, you'd have thought it was a home game with so many people chanting, Coop.
My buddy sent me a picture. He was at the game, and he was in a section where it looked like the majority of the fans were Washington fans, but it was, to me, it was about 50-50.
I showed you a picture of Tyrone.
It was about 50-50.
He was surrounded by nothing but Cowboys fans. What can they do moving forward to change this? The Dallas crowd was overwhelming. Can Washington ever get that home field advantage back? We'll take your calls next at 800-636-1067.
It's Macy's One Day Sale tomorrow with deals of the day for everyone on your gift list. like chic winter coats, $79.99, and Tommy Hilfiger outerwear for him, 60% off. And find our lowest prices on flannel bedding, pillows, and more from Martha Stewart Collection, 75% off. Plus, get contact-free curbside pickup or pickup in store today. Details at Macys.com/pickup. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
This month on the 11th, French writer Georges Perec once said that nothing is happening all the time. But what's happening when nothing is happening? This month, 3 people spend several days just sitting in one place, watching, listening. A cemetery in Virginia, a cafe in New York, a plaza in Mexico. It's an appreciation of stillness, wandering minds, and the power of observation. That's this month on the 11th. Find the 11th wherever you get your podcasts.
A criminal record can create serious barriers to important goals in life, like finding a job, getting housing, or applying for school admissions. But what if the crime you were convicted of was no longer a crime? That could be the case if you've ever been convicted of marijuana possession. New Jersey recently legalized the possession of small amounts of marijuana and hashish for recreational use by adults. Also, many past convictions are being removed from criminal records. More than 300,000 convictions have already been expunged. To find out if your marijuana conviction has been expunged from your record, and to learn how to receive a certification of your expungement, go to njcourts.gov/marijuana. Take advantage of this opportunity for a fresh start. To learn more, go to njcourts.gov/marijuana. That's njcourts.gov/marijuana.